Let's get started. I feel like I haven't been on in a while, but I think it's because I didn't go live on Tuesday. I had so many social engagements this week, so really excited to bring this in. Today, we're going to be talking about money and is it evil? And just to introduce you to the podcast, my name is Amalé, and I am the founder and host of the Celestic Intelligence podcast. I started Celestic Intelligence at the beginning of this year, and I believe we started at episode 6. So to get to episode 47, which is today's episode, is pretty exciting. I've been going live every week. And unfortunately, this week I had to divert from the Tuesday stream. And then, just as a little bit of housekeeping for those who watch after the podcast has aired, I am going to be taking a tech break sometime in December. So just kind of keep your eyes peeled for that. I'll make an announcement just to have a little bit of a unplug from social and just give myself a little bit of time to rejuvenate. Most likely during the solstice period. So it might be the first 2 weeks after solstice, and then we'll get started back up in January, not July, January. And so, yeah, I'm really excited to deliver this message today. So, one thing that I wanted to talk about before we jump into everything, so, all of my topics come from experiences that I've been having. And one of my experiences is the other day on Wednesday night, it was a supermoon and it was super bright. It was the brightest moon of the year. And my son and I, my oldest son and I, we were outside looking at the moon and looking at how bright it was. It was just so bright and so connected. And it was a moon that was in Taurus. And Taurus has to do with value, with material possessions, material wealth. And so this message is hi, Warzone loadouts. Oh, Kindred Angel. Yay. Thank you. You're beautiful. Yeah, we're doing a live stream today, so the moon, full moon in Taurus really points you to looking at your material wealth and looking at your value. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, oh my gosh, 22 viewers right now and 2 likes, 222, which is the house that is ruled by Taurus. So that's very fun. Mike is in the house. Peter Strauss, welcome. Hello. Do you do ASMR? I should do ASMR. Everybody always says that I have a voice like a hypnotist. And so people like to hear the sound of my voice. So hopefully these are really peaceful for you and deliver some good vibes in your life. So, we're looking at this supermoon, and lo and behold, the next day I'm sitting there. My friend is writing a book and he's been sending me chapter after chapter. And he introduces the antagonist, and the antagonist is using her physical beauty as this mask for this really ugly undercurrent of her soul. Oh, the picture behind me. So this is a I don't know if you guys can see it the correct way, but it's the universal energies. So it has the feminine, which is kind of the dark side here, and then this is the world after, this is the world before, this is the masculine energy, and it just has a lot of descriptions of consciousness, and so all of that information is down here. So we've got different energies. So universal energy number 1 is the intent, the who of consciousness. It's the color red. It's associated with the root chakra. And the corruption is wrath. And it kind of just goes into breaking down all of the energies in our bodies. And then it really looks at 369 as the energies as well. And if you're familiar with Tesla, you might know about the energies in that regard. But my friend, he made this and I purchased it from him because I was like, it's so cool, has a lot of really interesting information, and I just love it as kind of a centerpiece in my room. Okay, you like the healing? Yes, I love energy. I'm very in tune with it. Okay, so everybody talks about money like it's a moral thing. And they'll say it's good if you give it away, but it's evil if you want it. And but the energy does not care about your judgment of what it is. All right. Energy is energy, and it's there regardless of whether you want it or not. And the energy will flow or it will stagnate in any direction. I was also this week talking about some plumbing issues that I had in a rental. Gosh, it's 8 years ago now. And then some plumbing issues that I had in a house that I bought. So, anybody that's ever had to deal, well, I think most houses have to deal with plumbing issues from time to time. And I'm sitting there thinking, when those things were happening, especially in my house now, like we were having some sink issues when my roommate lived here. And he was getting really frustrated about it, but I saw it as this energetic message of, you've got to get your energy in order somewhere. So, things like that pop up. I don't just look at, here's the physical problem. I'm also looking at what is the energetic message that's behind it as well. Yes, we are going into a major repair for a roof and washroom and windows. Yeah, it's quite a bit. So let's think about when we hear the word money, what do you feel when you hear that? What do you associate with that? Is it security? Is it safety? Is it evil? Is it control? Is there shame or is there desire there? Really think about how that word, when you hear it, sits in your system. So there's all forms of exchange, okay? It's not just currency. And it's really interesting. We're going to get into the breakdown, the etymology of the word currency, because it has a lot to do with flow. If you think about current, a current of a river, that's the flow of the river, right? But we have all different forms of exchange. We have breath as a form of exchange. We have emotion, which is a form of exchange. Attention, which is one of the most valuable things that you own, is attention. That's a most valuable energy. I think it's the most valuable energy, my opinion. And then currency, these are all energetic circuits. The breath of life. When you're breathing, you're alive. And when you're not breathing, you're just kind of, that's why I kind of get into nervous system, explaining the nervous system, because the breath is very important. It's telling your body you're safe, right? If you take a deep breath, you fill your lungs. I like to hold it sometimes for, maybe 4 to 6 seconds. And just whenever I'm feeling like my breath is shallow, I just kind of hold my arms out and I try to make my lungs as enormous as possible. And when you do that and you hold it, you can actually feel the energy start moving through your body if you're really paying attention to that depth. Trina Official, welcome. Hello. You. Oh, I can't do your deep breathing. My blood pressure will drop into the basement. So money in and of itself isn't truly real. It's an energy. It's this symbol of exchange. It's a symbol of permission, of I'm going to value that at $30 and you're going to exchange for me this good or this service that I'm going to be receiving. It's this symbol that we're moving matter through using this, this good. A lot of people may hoard money or they may fear money. And you can unconsciously have these opinions of those things. Do I play games? Dr. J, welcome. Good to see you. Do you play games? I play a lot of games. I love games. So the hoarding is really the stop. You're kind of not moving that energy around. It's just kind of sitting there. Whereas fear, it may block it from coming in because your energy is like, I don't want that, or I'm not letting it go. And so it really is coming from this survival mechanism of not having that energy flow effectively. The escape queen is really detaching from it as unspiritual. And we'll really talk about the verse, money is the root of all evil. We're going to be talking about that. But when you're in your sovereignty, meaning that you're holding your energy very consciously, you see it as a stewardship. It's a responsibility for you to receive that money from a certain area and then deliver it to whatever sources is going it needs to go to. And you'll listen because you're in your sovereignty of, okay, it needs to go to this person. Sometimes you might get this, I get this feeling a lot when if I have money, I might get like I might see somebody and it's like, give them $10. If I'm at a restaurant and I'm like, that person is like, I just see them and I just get this message, this spiritual message of give them $10. Okay. And I've done that before. Simply a way of moving matter. And it was just a really gentle way for me to say thank you. Even though they weren't doing anything in particular for me, I just heard that message of, give them that gift and tell them, this message. Yeah, you do it for the homeless. Like sometimes I'll have like an extra something, like food or something like that, and I'll just go up to somebody and give them, like I feel that desire to give, and then I listen to that. So it doesn't have to be money, it could be anything. Of that you think is of value, that you see somebody and you just have this connection of, I'm going to give this person this item as a blessing because you're listening into that consciousness. So where does the negativity, is money really evil? Give tips to, yes. Beautiful soul you are. You're a beautiful soul too. There's this cultural conditioning that money is the root of all evil. And it's a very deep cultural conditioning, and it really stems from this religious posturing that the text says, the Bible says money is, the love of money is a root of all evil. And it really doesn't mean kind of how we interpret that. It's the attachment of it, the hoarding of it, the wanting more of it. That's where we get into this belief that money is evil. And it really isn't. It's simply just a currency. It's a way to help the flow of things, okay? So we have this religious distortion of this verse. And so when we hear it, sometimes we can have that visceral response of, somebody's going to give me money. And you're like, oh no, I don't want it, right? Remember, it's that fear of if I receive that, I'm receiving evil. And that's simply just not true. But we sometimes have to reprogram our stories that we have around money and make it so we're like, I am a steward of this money. Like, if I think about who I would like to have, the most money, I would want to have the benevolent and the sovereign people who see the value of others and can move money in a certain way that's going to bless people. I was reading a reel about Billie Eilish when she first, became famous. She had donated 14, I think it was $14 million to some sort of charity. And she's standing in this room filled with billionaires. And she's like, I am giving this money to charity. I've raised this money to charity. And she wasn't doing it in a judgmental way, but she was just kind of like, what are you doing with yours? How are you being benevolent with the stewardship that's been given to you? Okay. And I thought that was kind of a beautiful story. Now, outside of that, we can have opinions, but just that moment of that experience was a true blessing to the people that were receiving. And I can't remember what the charity was, but her standing there, and it wasn't in an accusational way. She was just saying, hey, you've been given a lot. How are you responding in a benevolent way to give back? Like, flow, make the flow go. Like, let's flow the energy into places that it's going to benefit people. Hi, Brian Bradley. Welcome. All right. So the next part of where some of that negativity is coming from is the patriarchal and colonial systems that use money as power over people, power over constituents, power over the citizenry, instead of power with, right? So if we think of power over versus power with in the context of what money is, then we can see where some of this distortion also is coming from these, archaic, one-sided only systems that we have embedded in our beings. And the as we continue looking at where that negativity is coming from, we can also see how this conditioning from these really powerful structures, I mean, culture in itself is a powerful conditioning response. The religious distortion, it's a very powerful conditioning response. Like, it's embedded in our culture, in our being. And we've likely had people in our life that hold these distortions, hold these conditions as true, and they have been unable to rewrite those into something that is more accurate of what money is. So we have this, the conditioning, which tends to keep the creative and the spiritual people in these cycles where they might self-sacrifice, where they might undercharge for their services because they think if they overcharge for their services, that it's that is being greedy or taking too much, when it's likely a less fair exchange of energy. So I'm doing tamales this year. I started a cottage kitchen and I'm making tamales and I'm selling them, and I had to price them. And part of me was really analyzing how much do I charge for them. I looked at the going rate, the normal going rate, and then I, looked at, okay, but for me, does that going rate make sense? I don't have a commercial kitchen. It's all coming out of my, home kitchen. How is this going to make sense for me, where I'm not overburdening my own system? And so I had to charge fairly. I'm charging probably a little bit more of a premium because it's a single person, but the quality is going to be there. The energy exchange that's going into it, the time and the labor, I don't want to undercharge for my service and end up having to do more for less. And that's really where that undercharging and that self sacrifice, where you have to look at that straight in the eye. And are you going to do that? All right, let's see. Kindred, that's what I enjoy. Sometimes when I go shopping, they ask me if I want to donate a few dollars to charity, and I usually do. Oh, that's beautiful. Ooh, what is a tamale? A tamale is this corn masa. It's kind of like a corn grind, and then you put a filling in there and you wrap it in a corn husk. It's a little Mexican packaged treat that's really popular during the winter time. All right, so now that we've looked at some of the places where the sources of our conditioning and the distortion of what we think of money as, cool kid, yo, what's a Doritos? What is a Doritos? Sounds yummy. Doritos are little tortilla chips smothered in seasonings. So let's think about money as this movement as we continue on. So currency literally comes from, the etymology of it is curere, and it means to run or to flow. So the current is literally just flowing, right? So when we're looking at the current, when we're looking at the flow, when we're looking at where are things going, where is it running to? Are there places, you can ask yourself, that I've dammed my own energy river, and where is it? And it doesn't necessarily have to be around money. Today is our topic that we're thinking about. What is grass? Grass is the thing you need to touch every once in a while. Cool kid, yo. Oh, cool kitty. Cool kitty, oh. Is that how you say it? So we have to think about, where are we damming the river? And so let's go back to the beaver moon, right? What do beavers do? They dam rivers. And they dam the river to create a little nest for themselves during the winter months. So during this time right now in our season, the beavers are out there and they're just working away, creating their little dens in the rivers or in creeks or wherever, and they are damming the river. So having this beaver moon in a Taurus, in the sign of Taurus, the full moon, is really a time where we have to step back and say, am I damming a river of my own energy? Where is it? And how am I, why am I doing that? What is the meaning of my own response of that? So when we also look at money as movement, right, we're looking at, where is it flowing? We're looking at the spending. We're looking at the investing. We're looking at giving and receiving. And this time of year, we start really thinking about that because, the solstice is coming up, Christmas is coming up, and that is typically a time where people gather around and share gifts with one another. We might also look at, how are we investing that money? How are we investing our energy? How are we giving our energy? What are we giving with our money? And how are we receiving that? I don't think it's a big surprise that we have this government shutdown right now, and then, SNAP benefits is like this huge topic at the moment. And then yesterday, I think it was yesterday, it got released right after this beaver moon in Taurus. I don't know if everybody's did, so I'm not going to debate that. But so the circulation really is mimicking breath, because breath is that energy, right? So when we inhale, we're receiving, and then when we exhale, we're giving. So we want to have that constant flow of breathing in and breathing out, because that is just one of the energy methods that we have. So when we look at what's our energy hygiene, okay, I think a lot of people don't, they think about their physical hygiene a lot. Am I taking showers? Am I, how is my body? Um, do I need to exercise? Do I need to eat better? They're really looking at all those things. But, we also should be looking at our energy. Is our energy clean? How can we clean it up? Stagnant money, stagnant energy might mean a stagnant spirit. It might be a stagnant energy in your own system. And so once you start addressing that, then things will start to flow a lot better. And maybe you dam up your river quite often. Maybe you're damming your river, your energetic river, a little bit more. It really is a time to kind of sit back and am I attending to my own energy hygiene? Okay. That might mean cutting contracts that you need to cut out of your system. All right, let's see. We got a question. What happens if a black flash hits another black flash that's bigger than it and it crashed onto somewhere that it can crash at, plus it explodes? It sounds like one of my son's animations that he's created. I don't know the answer to that, Cool Kitty. So we want to think about this principle of energetic hygiene in our own systems, because that energy hygiene, like having that clean energy, is going to help you tune in to the energy around you a lot easier. You're going to be able to tune in to a lot more than and hear a lot more than you would if you have this stagnant energy, because it really is just an inability to flow out. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Donnie Darko. In Donnie Darko, like, there's a lot of energy going around. It was very bizarre. I don't even know where the movie came from, but it was this there was like this energy portal that was kind of directing the character. This is what I remember from the movie. 6 people watching, 7 likes. I've been seeing all the numbers. I was at 33% on my phone. Lots of numbers coming in. But we had this like energy vortex that was like directing the character around. And so sometimes I think of energy as that, if we're stagnating that and we're not listening, we might be going in a different direction. We might be off the path of where we want to go. So when we open up the flow, new things are able to come in. I like to think of it as, so let's think about the dam in the river. The beaver has dammed up the river, and now it's all the water is being hoarded in a certain direction. Hi, Tyler. Hotcakes. Maybe it is your son. Yeah, my son might be on here. Yeah, it does look like it could be my son. It could be. I'm doing well, Tyler. It's good to see you. It's a Friday night. We're just talking about energy. Don't read that. So when we think about the dammed river, it really is stopping the flow, and then it's backing up all of that water, and now it kind of trickles out here and there, but it's not flowing. So I don't know if you guys remember the show Duck Dynasty, if you ever watched it. Those guys had a beaver problem. the beaver, they were just like, oh my gosh, these beavers, they were wanting to get all these ducks, but the beavers would come in, and so they would have to go and get rid of their beaver dens all over their property. And so they're out there constantly fighting with these beavers of like, let the water flow so the ducks can come in, and so we can get, our ducks. That was their passion is eating ducks and getting ducks. And so they had to go out, and they were constantly managing of open up the flow of the water, open up the flow of the water. And that's really when we think about this energetic movement and the flow that we want things to come in just as easily as we would breathe in. We want things to go out. My mom used to say, easy come, easy go when she talked about money. Easy come, easy go. And she was just really good at managing that flow of that current of energy. Save the trees, eat a beaver. I would. I don't know if I could eat a beaver. Side story. How old was I? I think it was Jurassic Park 2 had just come out, and we went to the movies to go watch it. And we were coming back, and we had this van, and it had multiple row seating. And I was sitting in the front seat having a good time, just loving that I just watched Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park was my favorite. Watching Jurassic Park, and I'm just like, okay, we're on our way home, and we're probably about 15 miles away from home. And they stop the van, they get out, and my mom pulls this. There's this dead beaver. I think somebody hit it with their truck. Dead beaver on the side of the road. And she's like, oh my gosh. And my mom is like, pick up she picked up this beaver roadkill, and she's like so excited for it. Puts it in the vehicle, and the thing smelled so terrible. I think it has a lot of oils in it. I don't know if I would eat a beaver from the oiliness. Pog Whisperer. I don't think I could do it. I was like, that was a constant story I would tell, like family gatherings. I was like, oh my gosh, my mom did this. I was like so upset because they put it in a bucket, a 5-gallon bucket right next to me in the back. And so I had to sit next to this beaver roadkill all the way back home. And it was pretty terrible. Oh, I got you. All right. So let's talk about how we can heal. So let's really focus on this energetic hygiene of how can we heal this relationship with money. So money mirrors our worth boundaries. So if money is having a hard time coming in, that could be this worth wall that you've put up of I'm not going to receive this. I don't want this coming in. And the energy is listening. Your energetic, whatever the composition it's at, is listening. Okay? It's just like breathing in, breathing out. And you might be suffocating yourself if your worth is, if your personal power is low and your worth is saying, I don't want money coming in. That money is mirroring your worth. So really think about how can we address the worth issues, all these boundaries that I have, so that that energy flows through me. Okay. Now, next, I asked early on of when you hear the word money, what kind of response do you get? Do you get the ick? Do you get the I want it? And really think about the emotion that you have tied to money. Maybe there's fear. Oh my gosh, if I don't get money, I'm not going to be able to pay my rent. If I don't get money, I'm not going to be able to pay my phone bill. If I don't get money, I'm not going to be able to pay my food. And we just went through that, like as a society, culturally, with the SNAP benefits. Everyone's just like, oh my gosh, if we don't get SNAP benefits, I don't know how I'm going to feed my family. If we don't get SNAP benefits, I don't know how I'm going to exist beyond this month. Like things are going to have to be addressed. So is the emotion that you have attached to the money, is it in relation to safety? I need money to feel safe. I need money so that I don't feel out of control. Okay. If I have money, I have more freedom. I can go anywhere in the world that I want. I can go get whatever, thing that I might need or desire. And or money might be a validation. And I had a coach, and she would tell the story of how she's like, if I make this amount of money, then a man will come in and I'll have a husband and live happily ever after. So she had this distorted story of her worth was validated by what was in her bank account. And it's, we can sit there and say that that's a truth, but in all actuality, it's how are we managing our energy? Is my energetic hygiene around just energy in general? Because that's really going to dictate that flow, that breathing flow, or the money flow. So think about what emotion you have attached to currency or money, or, maybe retirement, or maybe your savings. Think about what your emotions are, and is there something there that is kind of pinging you of this is your worth, this is your value. All right. When we're healing our relationship with money, we want to reframe money as this messenger. So money is coming in and revealing where your energy leaks are, or where your energy may be locked. And when you can see where the leaks are, maybe, if you're doing your budget, you're like, oh my gosh, like I haven't budgeted in a long time, and I can't believe that I have been spending $500 a month of, my income, $500 a month just eating out at places. That might be an energy leak. Or maybe you have some sort of like addiction, and like all that money is going to that. Or maybe you're going out to drink every Friday night off work as, I'm just going to take care of myself, and this is, my thing. It's fine when it's budgeted, but if it's like getting to be where it's leaking money out and it's causing rifts in other areas of your life that, are your necessities, then that's where you start to analyze, okay, am I doing this because I'm controlling? Am I doing this? And people are really, really weird about their money. I worked in a bank for a long time. Like people get very specific about it, and that's fine, right? But I just saw a lot of different people's energy and their interaction with their own money, John Cabrera says you need family to feel safe. Exactly. Um, Having family, or having really close friends, or even just not being isolated is a mechanism of safety. I learned a lot about isolation this year, and am currently going through a lot of isolation as my child is becoming a true teenager and isn't, at home with me on the weekends. And so I'm having to reanalyze like that energy in itself. So there's a lot of changes that I've been going through, and that's just one of the many of them. So when we reframe money as this messenger that's revealing our energy leaks, and we're looking at, okay, where is it leaking? Where is it locking? Am I so hardened into thinking I need to control and have this certain amount to feel secure or validated or safe? What are the feelings around that? So when we look at, completing that energetic hygiene, we want to also forgive the systems that have misused this, abused the power around it, have misused it in maybe lording over others, and really find forgiveness in, okay, particularly in the religious systems, that religious distortion of money is evil. It permeates so much. I've had to deal with it on a pretty deep level of money isn't evil. It's simply an energy. And I had to rewrite that story of how money interacted with my own self, which is why I'm here talking about it. Now, in practice, we can declare how we'll use it as a conduit of care and not control. Remember, we want to be sovereign stewards. We want to still be in our sovereignty. We want to hold agency over our decisions. Is there somebody here? We want to hold agency over our decisions, right? And so we would be serving ourselves best in reframing our holding of money as being a good steward, as you're not controlling others, you're not trying to control outcomes, you're really just a steward of determining where is this going to go. Where's my energy flowing? Where is it going? How am I conducting myself in a way that is responsible? All right. In summary, and we'll have a little chat. I want to have a little chat about the moon in Taurus, and so we'll have a little chat about that after. But in summary, money is not moral, okay? There's no morality around money. It's simply energy, and it can be used for, all types of purposes. So money is not the moral thing here. You are. It's your morality. Remember Billie Eilish staring, dead ass staring at the billionaires like Jeff Bezos, and I think Zuckerberg was in the room. Just these really, they're powerful because they hold a lot, they hold these, really big systems, and they're managing these large systems. But money is simply, it's simply the morality of the holder, all right? It's amplifying intentions. It's amplifying energy, and it's showing the world like this is how it moves through us, okay? So that's where are you being responsible with what is being given to you? And if you're not, how can you change that? How can you repair that? So it's amplifying your intention. And then we can see money, like if we visualize money, we can see it as this golden current that is flowing through your hands. It's kind of interesting that we use our hands to, like, move things around, because the hands are the heart. The green line here, it's the heart. It's like connected to your heart. So when you hug somebody, you're basically wrapping them, and you're closing this circuit around them of love, because that's heart energy. Like, you guys are connecting in that, right? And that's where that intimacy and that closeness of a hug can help you to feel safe, because that energy it's being shared. You're flowing it into one another. So think of that golden current flowing through you, and you're sharing it with the world. You're giving that energy out. And then you can also take it in, right? Because when you're hugging, you're kind of taking it in as well. Um, all right. So that concludes the, the podcast information, but I wanted to talk a little bit about this moon in Taurus. So I'm a Taurus rising, and so I have this Taurus influence already, this Taurian influence. And Taurus is ruled by Venus, and so it's ruled by beauty, and um, it also has to do with material wealth. It has to do with value, like what are you valuing? Um, you know, what are the material things around you? It's a very sensual sign, and so when we look at this beaver moon in Taurus that we're kind of just reeling off of, what it stirred in me is, are my connections nourishing me? Okay. Are my connections grounding me? Taurus energy is not chaotic. It's a very slow, sensual sign, right? It's not aggressive like Mars. It's very much the opposite. It's this very feminine, etheric, slow energy. Um, it doesn't like guessing. It likes very foundational things. If you think of the bull, which is, represented, the animal represented symbolically in Taurus, you think of the bull with the horns. Like most of the time, that bull is chilling out in a field somewhere, just hanging around, munching on grass, eating apples, maybe getting some salt licks in, like, and then just napping and just chilling out in a field. So it's not a chaotic energy. It's very much a, here's the foundation. Here's the foundation, and I'm existing in it. So the moon is really about fortifying what is real, right? We were talking about material possessions. So the moon energy, if you were feeling it, it might be exposing what may be leaking out of your energy. It might look at, can I build a life with the things that I have around me? Am I feeding into a fantasy, or is this real? Right? It's very much above ground. It's a part of this the sun sign. So it starts with Aries, goes all the way to Libra, and then once it hits Libra, that's when it goes into the underworld, right? So right now we're kind of just going into this underworld, and we talked about the thin veil last week because we're really starting to enter into the winter time, into the the dark aspect of time. We've just had the daylight savings time ended, and now we're in standard time. And so I love those lights. Your thoughts about I3 interstellar object. Are you talking about um it's not I3. It was like it wasn't a comet. It was like a thing that was flying through the sky. But yeah, I love my lights too. I have a nice little string of them. Atlas. Yeah, I was listening to a podcast about Atlas, and they were kind of going on about it. I don't have any specific thoughts about it. Um, I don't even know what space is, to be honest. I have conflicting information, and it's hard for me to imagine space. Now, that's outer space, the sky and beyond and what's out there. I'm actually a little bit more fascinated about inner space. And the way that these things come. So I was talking to a friend yesterday, and he's a really just very down to earth guy. And we were ending our conversation, and he saw a green flash. They said it split in half. Your sister's pregnant. Is that a good thing, Himbo? Hopefully you're not the dad. Did I say that? This is when we start getting unhinged. Oh God, you are the dad. Oh, oh boy, that's not good. Um, I think about these objects that are in the sky like as having an influence in our lives, and we all have our own unique experiences. And it's a miracle that two people can get together and share an experience, in my opinion. Sweet home Alabama. Good Lord, Himbo. You're unhinged. But I nailed it, didn't I, Mike? You saw me. I totally called it. I'm like super psychic. So it was like a week and a half ago. My son and I were having dinner and we were watching Terminal Montage, which they do these animations about like video games. And it was Mario Kart. And I was like, we were getting started. It was like an 7 or 8 minute video. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want Shy Guy to win. So Shy Guy is my favorite. He's my Pookie. This is Shy Guy. I was like, I want Shy Guy to win. And so we're sitting there, we're eating dinner, and we're watching it. And I look at all the characters, and I was like, Shy Guy isn't even in there. And then I said, I still want him to win, though. And my son was just like, whatever. And so the whole thing plays out, and then it gets to the end, and it's like Bowser versus Mario, and Mario and Bowser are just like eking towards the finish line and throwing all these shells at each other and whatever. And it like slow motion, and then all of a sudden this other character comes through, and guess who it was? Shy Guy. It's really funny. So he won. All right, let's get back to Taurus though. Aside from Himbo's unhinged experiences, I don't know that I condone that behavior, Himbo. DVK said, so many mysteries, it's impossible and impossible to not exist at the same time. I know, it's a trip. It's like a huge trip. Anyways, I was listening to a podcast about Atlas and was hearing them go on, and I was like, do I really, I don't know if I really care about that. Like, what influence is it having in our lives? That's what I want to know. That's the deep question I want to know. All right. So I'm a Scorpio and I'm also a Taurus. So I'm a Scorpio sun, Taurus rising, and these are both opposite ends of each other. So this moon really impacted me as looking at what are my desires, what is my fear of instability, where are the instabilities in my life, and how am I addressing them? How am I being cherished? Remember, Taurus is this Venusian energy. It's the energy of love and connection and, like just being around loved ones and having really nice things sensually. But are my needs, am I being cherished? Are my needs being met there? And then it also helped to light up this feeling of danger before commitment. So I start looking at the relationships in my life, my professional relationships, my personal relationships, my friendships. Where am I feeling like there's some sort of fear or danger in those situations? So because it's a beaver moon as well, we're talking about building a dam in our energetic river energy, energetic river in our own systems. So the moon is going to make, you might have over the last couple days, like, first of all, I was crying. I was like, I swear, I think this moon is in Pisces because I am just completely feeling really, I was feeling really isolated. And one of my family members died. I didn't have a close relationship, but it was just like this trigger moment of, oh my gosh. And just adding to the little laundry list that I have, or honey-do list of, here's all the things that you've lost. And so it really was making me feel unstable in that moment, because it's like, okay, now what's the next thing to drop, right? So that fear of instability just in a family network, of having close family and close friends that will be able to take care of me if I need it, or be there for me. And I have a great network. It's just at the same time, you start to question a lot of that, especially with this lunar energy that was coming in. So the moon was making me analyze my relationships. It was making me, analyze my own sexual bond of, you know, what is that? Where is that going? It has me analyzing my own emotional stability. Am I stable enough? Are my emotions stable enough? Because I'm not necessarily always calm. Like, I feel a lot of emotions in a day. I'm like going up and down, just constantly. And I'm able to like be calm in these, but in my life sometimes I'm just like da 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 da, and then sometimes I hit a wall and I'm like, I can't do anything. The moon also, because it's in that Taurian energy, it looks at the long-term potential. If I keep going down this path, is it a good path for me, or am I sacrificing something, self-sacrificing for somebody else? And so you got to look at that. And then the last thing that this moon had me analyzing is my own patterns of giving too much, because I always feel so deeply. I've been really considering, as I'm doing my tamales, I'm doing a pre-order. So for the month of November, at the end of the month, I'm going to be making all these tamales, and I'm like, big part of me is like, I should, like, I really believe that I'll just end up giving, like maybe 3% of the funds to our local food bank to help them restock the food shelves, because that's something that I'm very passionate about. And I really have to analyze, like, is that giving too much, or isn't, or is it not giving too much? And most likely I'm going to, because I'm very passionate about those things. Those are those are things that I deeply care about, and that's ways that I can help support my community, right? All right. So the Taurus asks, does it feel like home? Because it's very much oriented towards this home aspect. And on the other end of that, the Scorpio, the scorpionic energy is asking, how deep are we going? How deep is this? It's the material things don't matter. It's the spirit, the emotions, like those things that matter. Are we connecting it? And still asking in a way of, is this viable? Is this long term? So that mix of those two energies is interesting. Taurus focuses on embodiment over the fantasy. So the fantasy, you can get caught up in the fantasy of, oh my gosh, like things are going to go this way, and you can get yourself psyched up. I do it all the time. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm just playing out these, I'm just role playing in my own mind of like, this is what's going to happen. And it's really this fantasy illusion, whereas Taurus is like, no, that's not real. We're embodying us. The Taurus is really asking, is this connection dependable? Is this is this energy showing up? Is this matching your effort? Is this stable or is it wobbly? Okay? So Taurus is really focused on this embodiment. And the moon, finally, the moon is asking, this moon, the beaver moon in Taurus, is asking, or maybe not asking, but exposing your relationship with money, exposing your efforts, and then exposing the value dynamics, the value, okay? Because Taurus rules value, your value and the value of material things, okay? And you can sense the energy of how others value you, not just in the moment, but in this long-term way. It's not just a we vibe in a short-term way. This is the long, are you in it for the long haul kind of energy, all right? Well, that's all I had for today. That was a good hour, good solid hour. Um, I may or may not do a cooking stream this weekend. I was going to make, okay, it was a New York Times posted this browned butter chocolate chip cookie. And so I was going to make those. And so I might pop on this weekend and we can make cookies together. How's that sound? You guys want to make cookies with me? Um, so it might be on Sunday. It may be tomorrow. It might be on Sunday. Mike's all in. Like, let's go. Do you guys have any questions about the money topic, or any other topics you want to talk about? My psychic ability of calling himbo out for his incestial short-term poor decision making. What do you call that? I don't know. I might even make some other, I think I might sell cookies in my little thing. Make like little cookie trays for people. Oh, like the butterscotch haystacks. I'm not a big fan of peanut butter, but peanut butter no bake cookies are they're so good. I can't remember where I found my recipe when I was a kid, but it was like, yeah, it was good. But anyways, well, I am going to tie up tonight. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm going to have to, I think next week I might not be at 5:30. I have the day off, so I might come on earlier. But I have an appointment at 4. That's an hour long, so I might not be at 5:30 exactly, but I think I might hit you guys up earlier in the day. So definitely look forward to that. My name is Amelie. This is episode number 47. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Love all the comments. Thank you guys for so much for coming on. And I think I might just plan out the rest of the year and figure out my topics this weekend. So I will post all of my episodes, upcoming episodes. So look forward to that. And then I'll pop in with some cooking streams every once in a while, and maybe you guys can come and make tamales with me at the end of the month. So, all right. Well, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Much love. Chat with you later. Bye.